Hello and welcome back to my channel, The Gravel Road. It's based around cycling, but we'll be getting into all sorts of wonderful related subjects. I'm here at the Roughwoods Hotel in St Andrews. Really nice, just stayed the night last night, had a really nice meal last night with my wife, and I'm just away to go and tuck in to what I hope is going to be a wonderful full Scottish breakfast with toast and all sorts of stuff. So I thought before I do that, we'd get into this video, or actually a series of videos, because it's probably too big a subject or maybe too controversial to do in one video. And the subject is intermittent fasting. So the first part of this series is going to be called Intermittent Fasting, Beginner to Jedi, the Force is Strong in You.
Strong am I with the Force.
Now, I've been doing intermittent fasting for probably about 5 or 6 years, and so every now and again I'll tell people about it, or I'll speak to people that are maybe asking questions on LinkedIn, and honestly I've lost count of the number of people that have probably looked into it, done a bit of digging around, maybe even asked me some questions, but never really given it a go, because it just seems like a total impossibility to not eat for X amount of hours, or to not get up in the morning and have their breakfast and go to work. Essentially, it just seems like an alien concept. So when I was deciding on videos to do for my channel, this was way up there. It's something I've always wanted to do, is really put my thoughts out there on intermittent fasting, because I know it's completely the opposite. It's not impossible. It's actually probably the easiest route to a healthier, and if it's your goal, a leaner you. This first video is really about getting your head in the right place. It's trying to get you to think about intermittent fasting in the correct way. If you think about something negatively before you start it, you're probably going to fail. It's an almost certainty. So we'll go through that in this video, and then in the next video I'll talk through how to gently get into intermittent fasting and how to become a intermittent fasting Jedi Master. I'd consider myself to be a pretty normal person in the grand scheme of things. I have a job, I have family, I have commitments, I have chores to do, which you've seen from some of my other videos. But if you were to ask people who really know me one fact about me, a lot of them I think would say, that boy can eat. He's like a bottomless pit. Get to the buffet before him, because there'll be nothing left. Because I love my food. Like, I absolutely love food. I really enjoy food. I love the tastes and all the wonderful things that people can create with food. And I'm definitely not at odds with food. I love really nice things, really sweet, all sorts of stuff. I just love food. And I'm 44 now, and certainly in my younger years, when it probably didn't matter so much, I definitely filled my boots, ran wild, drinking fizzy drinks, just eating and drinking whatever I like, without really giving it any thought. But the thing is, actually, with intermittent fasting, I've not really cut any of that out. Well, the only exception is fizzy drinks. I definitely cut out fizzy drinks, because I was just chugging Coke like you wouldn't believe. And I recognise that they're basically empty calories, and it is tough. It's really easy to consume a lot of calories just through drinking things like Coke. So that was the only thing I've really changed. I still have a Coke every now and again. I like a can of Coke, or go out for a meal and have a Coke with a meal, but I just don't drink it like I was basically drinking like it was water. So that's the only thing I've really changed. All the other stuff that I love, I haven't cut out at all. It's just intermittent fasting has given me a different way of managing how to eat, and I can still eat the things I enjoy, but I can manage my weight. And probably more of a benefit is, like, it's just your state of mind and that kind of thing. That's what it goes to help as well. So there's lots of different benefits, and I'm going to try and cover them in the key points here. So point number one is intermittent fasting isn't a diet. It's simply a different way of structuring your food when you eat your food in a given time period. It's typically 24 hours, but it can vary. But you don't need to cut anything out. But if you get into intermittent fasting, you probably naturally will, because point number 2, intermittent fasting puts you in control. You decide what you eat and when you eat. It's that simple. And this is where the Jedi Master part starts to come in, the mind control. That's really what intermittent fasting is about. It's not about not eating this or not eating that or cutting out carbs. It's just about controlling when you eat. And point number 3, intermittent fasting is complementary. Like I said before, it's not a diet. So you could, if you so chose to, do a specific type of diet, I don't know, cutting out carbs or keto or whatever it might be, and do intermittent fasting. It wouldn't be like doing 2 diets, because intermittent fasting isn't a diet. Therefore, you can do intermittent fasting continually, but switch between different diets if that's what you wanted to do. It's totally flexible. But if you get into intermittent fasting and you get in, and pretty quickly, once you get into controlling when you eat, you'll probably start to find that you view food in a different manner, or you probably make better choices, to be honest, because you've put in that effort to fast for that time period. You're much more likely to say, well, hang on a sec, let's not ruin this by chugging 5 litres of Coke. So I'd say if you get into intermittent fasting, you'll find you won't need to think about any specific diets. You can have treats when you're doing intermittent fasting. You can probably have more treats whilst doing intermittent fasting than you could on any other sort of diet that I'm aware of, which typically restricts lots of the really nice stuff. You can also not do it for a day or 2 or a week or whatever it might be. Like, for example, I'm here at a hotel, enjoying a bit of time with my wife. I was fasting yesterday, but today I'm not. I'm going to tuck into a really nice breakfast, but I'll just pick it up again tomorrow, and it's not a problem. You wouldn't really be able to do that with a lot of other diets. When you break a diet, it tends to feel like a failure. Whereas with intermittent fasting, it's not a diet. So if you do stop for a day or 2 or even a week or whatever it might be, it's not a failure, because all you're doing is not fasting. You're just giving it a break. And you can do that with intermittent fasting. It's very, very flexible, as I've said before. It's really a skill. If you think about a Jedi Knight, I hope you like Star Wars, because there'll be a few of these references. If you think about a Jedi Knight can move things with his mind. He moves big objects with his mind. But he doesn't have to do it every day. He doesn't need to prove to anyone that he can move that thing with his mind. They know he can do it. So, that's the thing. Intermittent fasting is more of a skill that you pick up, something that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. Once you know how to do it, that's it. You know how to do it. It's like riding a bike. And sometimes you ride bikes and sometimes you don't. Unless you're like me and I, go out every day. But it's a skill. It's a skill, it's not a diet. So that's what you got to think about. Intermittent fasting is something you need to learn. Once you've learned it, you're done. You just carry on doing it or not, as the case may be. Another thing that's a bit like being a Jedi is that intermittent fasting is actually in your DNA. You're actually bucking the trend by not doing intermittent fasting. When you look at human evolution. So we've been around for millions of years, and this concept of waking up in the morning and having something to eat before you go to your work, or an hour after you wake up or what have you, is a pretty new concept. It's only been around for tens, maybe hundreds of years. But for millions of years, we had to scavenge for food, and typically that would be done after you woke up. You would go out and scavenge for food, and then later that day you would then eat. So we've been intermittent fasting for millions of years, but lately we've decided that the word breakfast, which if you think for a minute, and actually look into it, the word breakfast is break fast. The whole idea of breakfast being at 7 in the morning or whenever it is, you know, you get up out your bed is a really new concept, and you're actually fighting sort of human nature, if you like, and what's in your DNA from millions of years of scavenging for food. And that actually leads me on to my next point, which is there are many Jedis out there. Certainly there have been many Jedis over time, but you'll probably find, you'll be surprised at how many people do intermittent fasting. But I don't know if it's because it's not a diet, but people don't tend to sort of talk about it too much. Maybe because if you see someone eating, they're just eating normal food. If you see someone eating a plate of broccoli, you're like, why the hell are you eating that? Oh, well, I'm on the such and such a diet. So maybe it's that, but there are lots of people out there who do intermittent fasting. People, many people, just like you and me, normal people, but all the way up to elite athletes who use intermittent fasting for part of their training, and it's a well-known thing if you're into competitive sports and that. So there's tons of people out there doing it. It's not unique. It's been around for millions of years. It's been around a lot longer than keto or any of these Atkins or any of these sorts of things. So don't think that by getting into intermittent fasting you're going to be like this one-off weirdo. There's loads of us out there. We just keep it secret. You know, again, we don't need to tell the world we're intermittent fasting Jedi Knights, which is what you're going to become if you take it up. So one thing you could do to maybe ease yourself into this journey or get your head around it is just ask around. See if there's anyone you know. Maybe just do a bit of research on the internet, particularly if you're into a sport or something specific. See if there's people in that sport that do intermittent fasting. And I think if you do that and try to get your head around it first, you'll lead me on to my next point, which is intermittent fasting Jedi Knight status is very achievable. It's easier to perfect than any other form of weight loss if that's your thing. But actually the benefits go well beyond that into your state of mind and productivity as well. I'm super productive when I'm in a fasted state, and my mind is typically a lot clearer. So, another Star Wars reference. Luke Skywalker took 3 long episodes to win the battle with the dark side, but intermittent fasting, if you start on this journey, I think, you know, you'll get there before even the first Death Star has been blown up. 1 episode. It's easy. It's not a big long battle. There's no Ewoks or anything like that. Just give it a go. It won't take long. Trust me, I'll help you through it. But here's the best part, actually, and this is why it's going to be really easy. You're already doing intermittent fasting. You can do it in your sleep, literally. When you wake up each morning, you're in a fasted state. Every single day, you wake up, you're in a fasted state. You're already fasting. Like I said before, breakfast is named break fast. So when you eat, first thing you eat, you're breaking your fast. That's what it's all about. Intermittent fasting is just pushing that out a little bit. And this is why intermittent fasting is mostly about mindset. It's getting around that preconception that when I wake up in the morning, I have to eat something because that's what breakfast is. Ask yourself, when you wake up in the morning, or even at the time you come to eat breakfast, are you really that hungry? Do you ever wake up hungry? I don't think anyone does, because your body kicks into working off of fats and things like that that are within your body rather than fuel that you put in it. So yeah, so I think if you just get your mind around it, it's going to be a whole lot easier, and that's the purpose of this video. So if you like the sound of the above, or even if you're still not convinced, maybe might be good to go and check out my next video, which is Intermittent Fasting, Beginner to Jedi, the realistic method. In that, I'll explain the simple steps to go from beginner to Jedi Knight of intermittent fasting. And trust me, it's going to be super easy. You can find that other video in my nutrition playlist along with this video, or just search for it under that name. I'll also put a link to it in the description of this video. Thank you very much for listening. If you can, please make my day and hit like. And if you want to keep up with what's going on in my channel, also hit subscribe. And even better, if you can, tell some friends about it and get them looking at some of the videos, and that'll just spur me on to do even more. So with that, I'll say take it easy, goodbye, and have a great day. Ta-ra.